That's crazy. Welcome fellow strangers. Did you know there's an estimated 160,000 species of moth? They're closely related to butterflies and come from the same order, Lepidoptera. Sadly, they're mostly seen as pests, but there are a lot of species of moths that are very unique and as elegant, if not more elegant than their cousins, the butterfly. I say all this because today's origin is the Actian Origin. This is what I would consider to be a 3-impact origin, and it has a very unique playstyle that I enjoy quite a bit. It was created by the Discord user Merphuwu. I'm pretty sure that's not how you actually pronounce it, but the alternative would be to call him Merphuwu, and it's for Minecraft version 1.17.1, and I will be attempting vanilla hardcore survival in the second part of this video, so stick around for that. As always, the Origins Discord will be linked below for you to try out this origin for yourself. And a huge, massive shout out to my channel members V-Hips, The Sad Doggo, Butch, and Salmon. For our first active ability, we have Silk Maker, and you can make silk out of a select few items, these being wool, string, and leather, and you use these to make silk-like armor around you. You need a total of 8 of either of the aforementioned items in order to completely fill up your silk meter, and this will give you a total of 7 armor points. Your next ability is passive and it is winged. You have an elytra equipped at all times, and this means that you get to wear a chestplate and fly at the exact same time. Moving on to your second passive ability, Soothing Light. When near lanterns, you gain regeneration, which is a nice little bonus. If I could just interrupt your regularly scheduled programming to give you another moth fact of the order Lepidoptera, from which both moths and butterflies derive from, 90% of them are actually moths, which is quite a big percentage. If only 90% of the people watching this video would subscribe, wouldn't that be amazing? Subscribe today, and maybe hit the bell icon too. Back to the topic at hand, we now have our first drawback, and that's prey. Spiders are used to hunting your species down, so they deal more damage. How much, you may ask? I have no idea, but it was enough for me to get 2-shot in hardcore after the first 30 seconds of spawning into the world. So hopefully that gives you a good idea. Next up is Nocturnal. You basically have night vision when you aren't in water. Not much else to say here. Except for the fact that this also comes with the drawback that during the daytime you will be blinded, and it's pretty severe to the point where you can hardly see anything at all that isn't like a block in front of you, so that is quite the heavy price to pay. But when you spawn in, it will be like nighttime, so you won't be immediately blinded. Your next drawback is Flammable Skin. Due to your skin being highly flammable, you take extra damage, and keep in mind this is with full silk and diamond armor on peaceful. Big boy damage. Don't fall into lava, it hurts very lots. You might as well also pair this up with your drawback weak, and you just have 5 hearts, which is half than usual. So you're fragile. You're small, you're a moth, what would you expect? For your next ability, Venomous Silk, when your silk bar is full, you can use Poisonous Silk to fight foes. And honestly, I couldn't get this one to work. I'm not really sure how it's meant to trigger. I thought it would be like a chance to poison on hit, but that didn't really happen. Maybe I'm just unlucky, or stupid. Likely both. And here we have our next passive, Fabric Eater. You have the ability to eat paper and leather armor. I'm not sure why you would want to eat leather armor, but you can. And lastly, we have climbing. You're able to climb up any kind of wall, not just ladders, because that's what insects do. I forgot to mention 2 things. One, this is toggleable by your primary key, and secondly, that you can't really jump a block high, so climbing is kind of your only way to like traverse. So yeah. And that so far are the abilities for the Actian, and now I'm gonna give myself a hard time by taking it into vanilla hardcore survival. And yes, truly vanilla, no more Winter's Essentials, just good old Minecraft. And you get to watch me suffer for your entertainment. Do enjoy. And here I was, staring at the world creation screen for the third time. Yes, I tried this 2 times prior to this and died immediately. After naming my world appropriately by misspelling vanilla, I loaded in my data packs, and once I was loaded into the world, I chose the cook subclass just because paper would be more satisfying, and then I loaded in. I was on a mission, a hunt. I immediately went for the sugarcane, knowing that it would come in handy later for food, and then I had to slowly swim my way over. This was incredibly nerve-wracking because at any moment I could be killed in practically 2 hits, but I couldn't start survival without some kind of wood, so I pushed forward anyways. I made it to a tree and collected as much as I could, and then I started crafting a crafting table and some sticks before I heard a zombie coming my way. I immediately bolted out of there and dug into a small little hidey hole to be safe. And once I had myself a wood pickaxe, I decided to mine as much cobblestone as I could for some stone tools, and to also build out my hidey hole and make it a little bit more livable. And after that, I went mining for some iron because I would need that for a bucket and a pickaxe. And after what seemed like forever, I finally found a small cluster, and after collecting it, I made myself an iron pick. After that, I peered out from my hole and nearly lost my world. Thankfully, I was already on edge and I moved away just in time so the explosion wouldn't kill me, but I took that as a good sign to just relax a little and go back inside of my hole. Playing as this Origin in hardcore was absolutely brutal, and I knew I would need to be stacked before I could go outside, so I went mining in hopes to find some diamonds, but instead of finding diamonds, I found a mine shaft. Literally the most dangerous place for an Origin like me, but after all, nothing ventured, nothing gained. I saw a creeper pass by and I paused, but then I found some gold and I just couldn't give that up. So I went in despite knowing I would probably die. The creeper ended up targeting me and I panicked. I placed down some blocks defensively, but due to me panicking, I couldn't block it off, so I had to confront it, and I ended up taking the brunt of the blast, but thankfully I was still alive. I didn't really let that faze me though, so I collected the gold and the other ores before continuing the hunt. Because I was 1 block tall, I found it easy enough to slither my way into a block space and mine for more efficiency. For whatever reason, I ran into so much gold, which was great because I would need to be stacked, but then I found lapis, and where there's lapis, there's diamonds. I turned on my chunk borders and hunted it down. Unfortunately for me though, it was only 2, but hey, it was a humble start. I spent the next few days just hunting for diamonds and using the lapis trick and the regular strip mining until I had accumulated 8 of them, and then I slowly crawled my way up to make my pick. Only to realize that I didn't have enough wood to make the sticks required. I had no choice but to venture out again, and luckily it was daytime, and even though I was blind as a bat, it gave me the assurance I needed to know that most mobs would be gone, and so I went lumbering. And while inside a tree, I crafted myself a diamond pick and a helmet for more protection, and then I went back to my hole. I ended up finding more lapis, which led me to more diamonds that I used for a chestplate and a sword, and at this point I was feeling fairly confident in my progress. Although there was a long way to go, I still had high hopes. I smelted up my gold and then turned all of my attention into getting into the nether, but to do that I would need a water bucket, so I ventured out again, only to be shot by a skeleton despite it being daytime. I couldn't see where it was, so I ended up just leaving, and I ran into some cows and I ended up killing them for their leather. I would need all the leather that I could get so that I could build up my silk, and after converting it I did find some water. Now all I needed was a nice little lava pool, and I went mining and discovered one. I used the water bucket to make the Nether Portal, and now the last thing I needed was to get some flint for the portal, and I would have a shot at beating the game. My morale was through the roof, and I ventured out to find some gravel. I ran into a spider though, but I kept calm and quickly dispatched it with 2 swift blows, and then I converted the string into silk, which would keep me safe. I kept up the search before being interrupted by 2 skeletons, and thankfully the other one gave me the distraction I needed to kill the first one, and then I quickly followed up the second one. I was very much tryharding now, and I found some more sugarcane and collected it before having terrible luck with gravel. I couldn't risk staying out much longer though, so I decided to go back. On my way back, I ran into 2 creepers and made quick work of them before going back into my hole and gathered up some of the gravel that I previously collected until I got some flint. And once I had my flint, I lit the Nether Portal and went inside. I was now at the halfway point and I was getting really nervous. I didn't expect it to make it this far, but now I was fully invested in this world and I was very much on edge. I made sure to craft some gold boots and take as much food with me as I could beforehand, and then I went hunting for a nether fortress. On my way there, I collected all the gold and the mushrooms I could find, the mushrooms I could use for some soup, and I needed all the food I could possibly get my hands on. I made my way into a crimson thingy biome. I forget the name of this biome, but I looked around to make sure there were no hoglins around, and then I ran into a little piglin boy and a bigger piglin boy. And they were kind of scared of the zombie piglin, so I threw down some gold hoping that they would come up here, but they trapped themselves down here, so I ended up just jumping down there with them and I did some trading. This gameplay is sped up for you, but for me it felt like several years and I didn't get anything from it. But that's just kinda how it goes. Vanilla survival is cruel. I saved myself a wee bit of gold in case I could find some other piglins that offered me better trades in the future, but I went back to searching, and after loads of searching, I found a fortress. I then remembered that crafting a lantern and being near one would reward me with regeneration, so I did exactly that, and that is when I was lit on fire by a blaze. This could have very easily been the end of my world, but I stayed calm, and after surviving with just half a heart, I made sure to look around and dodge the projectiles that they fired at me next. They fired another wave and I jumped out of the way and made sure that I ate some paper so that I could heal up my health. That was honestly the wake-up call I needed, and I was ready to get to work. I was not playing any more games at this point, so I put down the fire and I collected my crafting table and I immediately went for that spawner. After peeping my head up and looking at all the blazes facing me, I had to reconsider for a moment. All it would take would be to get hit one time by one of their projectiles, and that would be the end of my world. I needed a better way to do this. I mean, it was impossible for me to kill as many blazes that I needed to kill to get all the blazes that I actually needed without dying in the process. I had to think of something. And then it hit me. If I didn't want to die, I would have to craft a shield. And you may be thinking, dude, what the heck? Why are you being so dramatic about this? It's literally just a shield. And, well, you see kids, I don't believe in shields. Something that can block 100% of the damage and is so cheap to craft just didn't really vibe with me, and I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with using them, just for me personally they don't fit my playstyle. But for this run, I would have to make an exception because there was no other way. Also, let me know what you think. Are shields overpowered or are they not overpowered? I'm okay with either opinion. I think all of them are valid, but I would just like to know what you think, and if you're still watching this far, you're a legend. Back into the action though, I strategically blocked some of the attacks with my new shield and then finished off a blaze, and sure enough, the venom ability actually triggered, and it actually does work. It just didn't trigger for me then. I was rewarded with a blaze rod, and that got me super pumped at this point. I was so happy. I was really invested, but that was short-lived as I soon fell victim to a hit. After letting my shield down for just a second, it cost me my world. I was pretty upset honestly, but I did make it a lot farther than I expected, and I feel like I learned a lot. It was really nice being weak for a change, and that's something I need to try out more often. It was brutal, and every action I took had serious consequence, and it really made me feel alive, I guess. I never found myself taking anything for granted, and every diamond and advancement felt very rewarding. I think Merphuwu did a really good job with this origin, and I really do enjoy the playstyle. The only thing I would suggest would be to give the moth a way to fly. You have wings, but they aren't really of much use without a boost, and it's really brutal to navigate this terrain because you can't jump a block high, so you have to crawl up slowly. Having a way to flap your wings, even if it's really small, would be extremely helpful. But yeah, I worked really hard on this video, so if you enjoyed it, please leave a like and let me know what you think of this origin in the comments below. That's about all I've got though. Don't forget to eat your veggies, and we'll meet again in the next one. See ya.